Anyhow, we're going to take a tour today, and Ken and I are just going to talk about anything that comes up. Gorgeous property, Ken. So Ken lives in a really cool gated community. Everything is pristine and beautiful, part of Northern California that a lot of people have never seen.
So just to let everyone know, before I took Tom's class, I moved to this community about 7 years ago, and we're going to pass right by an opportunity that every time I drive by, I know Tom has places that he drives by and says, I wish I would have got it. Well, there was basically when they used to sell homes way back in the day, they used this little kind of a house for people to come in and take a look at the models and stuff. It doesn't have a full shower, but it's basically it's a structure that's about probably 1,000 square feet, and then there's a lot right next to it that came with the property. So probably about 2 years ago, and this is going to be it on the left-hand side coming up, probably 3 years ago, the developer sold all the properties, and this is the property right here on the left, the land.
Oh, that lot.
That lot right there, and then this building goes with this lot to the left here.
Oh my God.
And it sold for like $85,000.
Oh my God.
And the guy immediately sold it for about $160,000 to $200,000.
Wow. Which also was a deal.
Which also was a great deal. So that's I have to drive by here every single day.
You want to learn how to make millions of dollars in real estate? I've made tens of millions over my lifetime, and I'm showing people how to do it. Get in my free webinar. I have it every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. Go to the link below, FlipAnythingUSA.com/webinar. Sign up for it. You can talk to me face to face if you want. Don't waste any time. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You don't want to miss my channel. I've been doing it for years.
Which goes to mind that there are opportunities in your area all day long. You just gotta keep your eyes open, and I learned a big lesson there that keep my eyes open and don't be afraid to go in and ask what they're asking, or ask them before they even think about selling it. Are you willing to sell a property, or whatever you need to do? Like Tom says, get in there first and make an offer.
Those things are going to happen. You know, a lot of people, when they get in the class, they'll realize they just missed a deal that they didn't even know was a deal, because you're going to get educated on value. You got to know value. And once you know value, it's just such a power, because it gives you the power to say yes, where instead of I don't know.
And it gives you the power to say yes immediately.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you do know.
Oh yeah, and the difference of being able to say yes without hesitation is the difference of getting the deal, because
that's right.
You know, you could take 10 minutes to go figure it out, and somebody else has said yes while you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
So those are the kinds of things that, you know, I pound into everybody's head all the time. You know, everybody knows a lot of quotes from me is, you know, time kills deals, and that's a good example of how, you know, time can kill a deal if you're just hesitating. You know, he who hesitates gets left at the starting gate. You know, a gal told me that after I hesitated to buy her property for $250,000 that was worth about $450. You know, at a time where in the 80s, you know, this is like in the 80s, when that was a lot of money. You know, still a lot of money, but it was you know, it was like 3 times as much back then. But you know, when you miss a deal by that much, it means you got that close to a bullseye.
Right.
And that's going to happen. And but what it means is you're shooting really close to the bullseye.
Right.
So even though you feel bad about it, and I tell students when we just miss one, I say, hey, now you know that bullseye is there. You just missed it. You know, next time you'll hit it.
Another thing too, Tom, the deal that you just got, you bid one number because you knew it was low, and then you said, you know what, you thought about it, maybe it's too much work, you know what, I'm gonna do another renegotiation and even go lower to make it even that much better of a deal. And that's another thing that most people don't realize either. You can, you know, go down.
What you'll learn also is there's a time to renegotiate.
Right.
And there's a time to not renegotiate.
That's right.
And even all of it. There's so many deals, even now within the class, which is really rewarding, where students would not have made the deal, you know, if I hadn't been there to talk to them. And, you know, I got one case in particular with, you know, Liam, that thing. I mean, there was at least 3 instances probably where he would have lost the deal had he not had somebody to talk to that'd been there, done that, you know, help him manipulate the situation. And you know, he ended up making $360,000, you know, and it's really cool. So it doesn't even matter. It's never too late to get in. But if you don't, you know, there's a saying I've always heard, which I always thought was interesting, is, because I'm not a gambler at all, but it's like you can't win the lottery unless you buy a ticket.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so you have to get involved. If you don't participate, you ain't gonna win.
I think it's important to note too that even in somebody like Liam, who's in the construction, carpenter, contractor, he was working, basically, fixing houses, but not necessarily for himself maybe right away. And you have a skill, which is fantastic, but if you don't use that skill to the next level, which is buy the real estate rather than just work on it for other people, then you're never going to become wealthy, because you're just going to work just like a lawyer would or a doctor would. You're going to make good money, but you're going to work hard, and it's going to get physically demanding as you get older and stuff. So that's another thing where real estate really helps you, where you don't have to do it physically. If you want to, by all means, you can do some of it yourself, especially in the beginning, just to get used to everything. But even if you don't have the skill, as a carpenter, you can still understand and learn values and costs and things of that nature, and be perfectly fine by not ever touching a hammer at all.
Yeah, Herb's a good example of that. Herb doesn't live very far away from Liam too. He's in New Jersey, and Herb, he doesn't have any carpentry skills whatsoever. But he went ahead and did a value add, and he completely remodeled the place. And he just needed a little guidance on on how to do that. And he did it, and he made $105,000 as a result.
Great experience.
Yeah, and the other thing that was really rewarding for him is it was a family, very much his wife and his son. They were all understood, what was at stake here, and that, what was, this could be a really great thing. And in the end, they were all cleaning the house together, getting it ready for showing, and then boom, sold it, made $105,000, and just very, very, very nice story. And now for almost same thing, Jerry, who's just made $1.5 million, his son was so excited, probably made more than $1.5 million, but his son made a TikTok video, just excited, talking about, hey, now we're gonna start fixing it up, and a big 20,000 square foot building his dad got for peanuts, about a third of what it cost to build, and like getting the land for free. And thank God, and even myself now, I have 4 kids, and my boys, who, when I wrote the book originally, was all about creating a blueprint for them to follow. Now one of my boys is involved, and right off the bat, he's together we found a really good deal. And you don't always get one off right out the bat, but it can happen, and it can be crazy good deals can happen. But like we were talking before, Ken, as long as you're out there following the certain fundamentals, you'll always hit doubles, right?
Right, absolutely.
You'll always hit double, and that could be relative to who you are and your income. That could be meaning making 20 grand or so every time you do it. It can maybe $200,000 every time you do it. It's just relative to you and to what you got to play with money-wise. But once you get rolling, and as you make those chunks of money, you can play with bigger and bigger deals and bigger paydays, and you can make $1 million and really have next to nothing if you find a deal.
Right. Like Tom says, 10 years, 5 years goes by super fast, and in a 5-year period, you're probably gonna potentially double your money, just because of time, inflation, and the cost of goods and everything else. And in that 5-year period, those singles and doubles have now made you potentially $1 million in 5 years. Where else can you do that in a 5-year period? I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but it's definitely possible for sure in 5 years.
Yeah, I would say making 10 times your investment is easily doing that. When he says double, he's talking, I think you're talking about double the value of the total asset.
Correct.
He's not counting everything you borrowed to buy it, or what you put out could be a fraction of that. It's true, like say we talk about 10 years, 20 years, 30 years goes by quickly. You look in the mirror and you go, dang, I'm older. My back hurts. You'll feel a lot better about that when you don't have to get up and work, and the paycheck still comes. And
on that note, Tom, you generally don't ever get tired of getting up, because you have a reason to get up, and you enjoy what you do. I mean, it's just enjoyable.
Yeah, what's that old saying? If you enjoy what you do for a living, you'll never work a day in your life. And really, that's been my whole life, because I was lucky enough. I discovered real estate when I was 19 years old. And I worked very hard in the business that I had, and only to find out that it's a good way to look at it. I started at 19, and by the time I was 27, I was a millionaire in real estate. But the company that I built over that time, I sold that company for $250,000, and that represented about maybe $150 in equipment and $100,000 in good faith. So basically, I really only made about $100,000 from my business, but I made $1 million with the investments that I made, and that's why I didn't need the business anymore.
And it's a people's business. You know, you might have one contact that you talk to, and maybe that could be a deal 3 or 4 years down the road. And your tenants that you talk to, and other people that you talk to in life. I mean, it's a business. You have to be a good communicator. You have to be aggressive when you need to be aggressive, and sometimes passive when you need to be passive. And you just need to play the role where, you know, you have to be a good listener and find out people's problems and needs and just take care of it.
Yeah, you got to be a good listener. That's probably number one. And some folks think you got to be brash and outgoing. Yeah, it's not true.
No.
It doesn't matter what your personality type is. It's really just about common sense, using your head. Everybody's different. Everybody has different interest and different knowledge base. You know, some of you know something extremely well that other people don't. May not even have anything to do with real estate, but nevertheless, it's something that you can build on and utilize in the way you negotiate and get to know people.
And on top of that, Tom, if you don't have that skill, either through communication or being a good listener, then try to either go to YouTube or get a book and try to make your skills better by doing something, by reading and learning. Never stop.
You got to build your knowledge base and your skill level. And we'll talk more about some of the other fake gurus or some people that I don't particularly care for, or I don't think are just good, and we have maybe some disagreement with us on that even. But what I was going to say is, the main thing is, if you're not trying, you're never going to accomplish anything. You have to try, and ideally, starting with my book, which is the $10 book on Kindle, $20 on paperback. If that doesn't light a fire in you, then great. You spent $10 to find out this isn't for you. Other people jump in and they'll spend $20,000 to find out it's not for them. But a lot of times, also, the worst thing that can happen. So this is a terrible thing, but young people will lose whatever, $1,000, $5,000 on a goofy course that is worthless. They don't even realize that the person training them or doesn't know what he's doing. Right. In fact, they're not even getting mentored. They're getting mentored by $15 an hour help that really know nothing. The only thing worse than that is if you do that and you actually have money to invest and somebody mentoring you that doesn't know what they're doing green lights you to do a really foolish investment, and now you spend another $100,000 after that.
But
not only screwed yourself.
Yeah, not only do you do that, Tom, you spend whatever, $50,000, $20,000, $100,000, but then you're so turned off in real estate, you never even go back and go for a second chance because you had such a bad experience that first time around.
Yeah, and then you're jaded for 10 years, and then that 10 years that you've gotten the sour, somebody else has made $5 million, and that's just the reality of it. Very important that you just rely on yourself. You make it your own. Don't rely on a wife or a spouse or a friend to keep you motivated. Dive in a little bit yourself and see if you can't light that passion. And what I can tell you is it's something that once it bites you, and then you start making money, I mean, you'll just be happy forever, playing with it. Because it's like treasure hunting, where you're definitely going to find some treasure, but sometimes you might hit something really big. But yeah. This has been a good talk so far.
Yeah.
So, hey, get the book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. You're going to be making several videos here. We'll kill this one now. Get the book. Go to FlipAnythingUSA.com. And this is a milestone, by the way. This is the first time I've come to meet one of my students. And I'll be doing a lot more of it. We got a lot of them now. And but yeah, so this is really a great way to start this off. See ya. Thanks for watching. Hey, Tom here at Flip Anything USA. Very excited. My book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate, it's been a bestseller on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle. But even better, it's been so successful so quickly that I have a number of millionaires and new students that have made hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, and that's right, multi-millionaires. All on the back here. Take a look at Liam here. He made over $560,000.
When you know value, and then you listen to a man like Tom, he gives you confidence. You could do this.
Ron, over $3 million.
As soon as I hit your channel, I knew right away, and I was like, yep, this is the guy. And so I started watching it. I bought your book, and I just started buying. And then you made the mentorship available. And I was like, hey, I've learned so much from the book. I've got to be able to learn more from this. Actually, right now, I own 21.
Tina, $70,000 with just a couple of transactions.
Followed the steps. It was a contract assignment. It was a lot in a subdivision. It was literally the fastest $10,000 I've ever made.
Kai, over $200,000.
So I was really looking for somebody I could relate to, And of course, they never show the actual properties that they own. So somebody that actually like goes around to the properties, shows them what they actually own, show them talking to the contractors, stuff like that. And I saw that in abundance on your page. So I was like, let me check you out. So I started watching a bunch of your videos, and I liked what I saw.
Rich, 1.3 million, over $1 million cash just on land alone.
I would say I definitely recommend it, especially starting with the book just to get the foundation. And but you'll really get a leg up. One of the things that Tom really does give you is his contact numbers. So being able to reach out to Tom when you're in a crunch is very vital.
Hub, $100,000, one deal.
That property I got for $260,000, and after doing all the numbers, that property could have sold for $450,000.
Garrett, over $110,000 now. Started with his first $25,000 he made on a trailer.
I can't say enough how valuable it is just to have access to you and your knowledge of just single family homes, commercial. Like you said, you're a millionaire. You've made millions in several different areas of real estate. And just being able to tap into that is very valuable.
Chris quit his job at the church and is now a full-time real estate investor. He's made over $180,000 this year.
I've learned so much from Tom, his book, his mentoring, really ignited a passion in me to pursue this full-time, and that's what I'm doing now.
Jerry just made $1.5 million, one deal.
Your book was so informative, just broke everything down so good. And I go back and gander at it from time to time. I keep it on my phone.
Shane, a new student, already $120,000.
Yeah, that's your second deal in a very short time. What are you going to make on the second one?
100.
Congratulations. I got to interview you as soon as this thing closes.
What do they all have in common? They all got the book. Since I published this book, my students have made over $10 million collectively. You can be the next one. Go to FlipAnythingUSA.com. Take a look at the mentorship. Get in a free webinar. Number one, get the book. It starts with a $10 book. It's next to nothing. I'll give you your money back if you're not happy with it.